Hey there, coin collectors. I've got a question for you. What's the most unexpected place you've ever found something valuable? Maybe you were cleaning out an old drawer and found an old watch, or even stumbled across a coin you thought was worthless, only to find out it could be worth more than your car. Well, today we're diving into one of those "what did I just find" moments, because we're talking about a coin that might be hiding in your change jar right now. Yes, I'm talking about the 1994 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and trust me, this little copper nugget is worth way more than its face value. $1.8 million to be exact. That's right, you could be holding on to a tiny gold mine without even knowing it. And no, I'm not kidding around. Stick with me and I'll tell you why this penny is worth so much and how you can start checking your own coin collection to find one of these treasures. Alright, before we get into the nitty-gritty of what makes the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny so valuable, let me just tell you, I didn't always take coins seriously. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think the only valuable coins were the ones that had a shiny finish or maybe looked different from the ones my friends were using in their video games. Fast forward a few years and I was at a garage sale. A guy was selling his old coin collection, nothing fancy, just a bunch of pennies, nickels, and dimes. He even threw in some miscellaneous coins that had been sitting in his drawers for years. Well, there I was, going through them like a kid in a candy store when I stumbled upon a 1994 penny. I thought, just another penny, right? But I had learned by then that sometimes a penny can be more than just a penny. So I took it home, gave it a closer look, and guess what? No mint mark. Now, I didn't have a $1.8 million penny at the time, but it got me thinking, what if this wasn't just any penny? Now, let's get back to the star of today's show, the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny. To understand why this penny is worth a whopping $1.8 million, we have to first get into the why behind it. In 1994, most pennies were minted with a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, but here's the catch. There was a small batch of 1994 pennies that were minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark. Usually, the lack of a mint mark means something's off, and in this case, it's what makes these pennies so rare. Mint marks are used to show where a coin was made, so when collectors see a coin with no mint mark, they know it's an anomaly. And if there's one thing I've learned in my time collecting, it's that anomalies are worth money. These no mint mark pennies were struck by accident, and that accidental rarity has made them one of the most sought-after coins by collectors. It's not just the no mint mark that makes these pennies valuable. It's about scarcity. There were only a few of them produced in 1994, and over time, many of these pennies were either lost, thrown away, or put into circulation without anyone realizing what they were holding. So, if you've got one of these pennies, you're holding onto a piece of coin history. Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, so how do I know if I've got one of these rare pennies? Well, that's where it gets fun, my friends. First, let's talk about how to find them. If you've been collecting pennies for a while, it's time to dig through your collection and pay close attention to the year. If you find a 1994 penny that has no mint mark, then congratulations. You might just be holding onto a small fortune, but before you get too excited, let me tell you how to grade it. The condition of the penny is going to play a huge role in its value. A penny that's well-worn or damaged isn't going to fetch $1.8 million, no matter how rare it is. You're going to want to make sure your penny is in mint condition, meaning it has a sharp, clear design, no major scratches, and minimal wear. The better the condition, the higher the value. And trust me, a well-preserved 1994 no mint mark penny could potentially be worth every penny of that $1.80 million. But what if you don't have a 1994 no mint mark penny in your collection? Don't worry, there are plenty of other rare coins out there that could be worth some serious cash, and I'll be diving into those in future videos. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my coin collecting tips. And hey, if you've got a friend who's into collecting, or maybe your grandma who still has that jar of old coins, give them a heads up about the 1994 no mint mark penny. You never know, they might be sitting on a hidden treasure, too. Alright, folks, we've covered the value of the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny and why it's worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like I should head to my local coin shop and start checking those bins of pennies. Who knows what treasures might be hiding in there? Coin collecting is all about patience and knowledge. It's not about spending all your time running around looking for that $1.8 million penny, but it's about knowing what to look for and appreciating the value of a rare coin when it shows up. So, take your time, learn about the coins you're collecting, and, above all, enjoy the process. If you want to keep learning more tips on coins worth money and coin collecting strategies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. And hey, drop a comment below if you've ever found something surprising in your coin collection. Let's hear about your hidden treasures. Hey, guys! Have you ever walked past a coin jar, glanced at the pennies, and thought, just a penny? Well, what if I told you that a 2020 D. Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth $1.9 million? Yeah, you heard that right, $1.9 million. It's not some mythical fantasy. It's real, and it's a coin that could turn that pile of loose change you've got stashed somewhere into a small fortune. Today, we're diving deep into why this seemingly ordinary penny is worth an extraordinary amount of cash. I'll be walking you through how to spot this rare gem, what makes it so valuable, and how you can get your hands on one before the price skyrockets even more. Trust me, if you're a fan of coins worth big money, you'll want to stick around for this one. And if you're new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more coin secrets like this one. Alright, let's get into it. So, you might be asking yourself, what's so special about a 2020 D penny? I mean, it's just a penny, right? Well, to most people, yes. But for collectors and coin enthusiasts, a 2020 D. Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the most valuable coins on the market right now. It's definitely not your average, everyday penny. Before we dive into the value of this penny, let me give you a quick refresher on what makes a coin rare in the first place. When it comes to valuable coins, it's all about rarity, demand, and condition. You could have a penny from the 1800s, but if it's beat up, covered in dirt, or just plain ugly, it's not going to fetch much more than face value. On the flip side, if you've got a penny that's in mint condition with a cool history or some sort of error, then we're talking big bucks. Now, what sets the 2020 D apart from all those other pennies lying around in your change jar? It all boils down to a small, seemingly insignificant detail, a minting error. And I'm not just talking about a little scratch here or there. This penny is what we call an offset die error or a struck-through error, which means that during the minting process, the coin wasn't stamped properly, creating a very noticeable flaw. To put it in perspective, think of it like a printing press that misprints a rare stamp. Most people would look at it and think, meh, it's just a printing mistake, but coin collectors? Oh, they go wild over this stuff. That's why this penny, despite being relatively new, has caught the eye of many collectors. Now, you might be thinking, but it's just one penny, how could it possibly be worth $1.9 million? Well, the value of this coin comes from its rarity. Not every 2020 D penny has this minting error, and in fact, very few of them do. This coin is so rare that when one shows up on the market, it creates a bidding frenzy among collectors. That's why it's worth such a jaw-dropping amount, but wait, there's more. It's not just about the minting error. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value as well. A coin in mint condition, meaning it looks like it was just freshly minted without any damage, scratches, or discoloration, can easily fetch millions. It's like buying a used car. If you've got a mint condition Ferrari, you're going to make a lot more money than if you're trying to sell a rusty old beater. Now, let me tell you a personal story about how I first stumbled upon a coin that could have been worth a small fortune. A few years back, I was going through a coin jar that I inherited from my grandfather. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the couch, flipping through the coins, and pulling out all the usual suspects, old pennies, nickels, dimes, you name it. But then I found one that caught my eye, a 1964 penny with a weird discoloration. I thought, that's odd. Maybe it's just worn out. So I did what any curious collector would do, I Googled it. Turns out that worn-out penny was actually an error coin, and if it had been in better condition, it could have been worth thousands. I kicked myself for not noticing sooner, but hey, that's how you learn, right? That's why I'm here to tell you, don't sleep on your pennies. You never know when you'll find a gem like that 2020 D. Lincoln penny. If you've got a coin jar at home or even a box of loose change, it's worth taking a few minutes to check it out. You might just find something that could change your life. The 2020 D. Abraham Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change, it's a valuable collector's item that could fetch you nearly $2 million. The key is knowing how to spot the rare minting error and keeping your coins in top-notch condition. And hey, even if you don't find a $1.9 million penny tomorrow, the journey of collecting can still be a rewarding one. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. Coin collecting isn't just about getting rich. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of finding something unique, and the satisfaction of learning about history in a way that few people ever get to. And trust me, I've been there, done that, and I'm still on the lookout for my next big find. So what are you waiting for? Head over to your coin jar, take a closer look at that change, and you could be the next lucky collector to stumble upon a rare coin worth a fortune. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I've got more tips and tricks coming your way on how to spot coins worth big money. You don't want to miss out. Hey, what's up, coin collectors and curious treasure hunters? Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth $1 million? Yep, you heard that right. This isn't some wild dream or one of those crazy internet rumors you see on Facebook. I'm talking about the 1969 D Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Worth a cool $1 million if you happen to have one in mint condition. Sounds nuts, right? Well, buckle up because we're about to dive deep into why this little coin could have you sitting on a small fortune. So grab the jar of pennies you've been hoarding for years, dust it off, and let's get into the details of how you could be holding on to a $1 million coin without even knowing it. Stick around, you won't want to miss this. If you're expecting to walk into a bank and get handed a $1 million penny, you're probably going to be disappointed. But hey, that doesn't mean you should toss your 1969 D penny collection in the trash just yet. Here's why. The 1969 D Lincoln penny with the D mint mark could be worth a lot more than face value under the right conditions. Especially if it's got one important feature, an error. And not just any error, but the famous double die error. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is a double die error? Great question. A double die error happens during the minting process when the die, the tool used to stamp the design onto the coin, strikes the coin twice. This causes the design to appear doubled, which, in this case, means you'll see doubled letters, numbers, and details on the Lincoln penny. Think of it like when you were trying to write your name as a kid, and instead of just one line, you got two, because your hand slipped or you were in a hurry. The 1969 D double die penny is legendary among coin collectors because of its rarity. Most of these pennies were printed without the error, and those with the error are a lot harder to find. Imagine you're going through a box of pennies, and there it is, that penny with the double image of liberty, and in God we trust. The one that's going to make you a millionaire. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years back, I was at a local coin show, and there was this old guy selling coins. I'm talking a mountain of pennies, dimes, and quarters all piled into a box. He seemed like he was just trying to unload his collection, but I didn't think much of it. Then, something caught my eye, a 1969 D penny. It looked normal enough, but then I noticed something strange. The Liberty was, well, it was a little too thick, almost like it was ghosted. I pulled out my magnifying glass. Don't judge me. We all have one of those in our coin collection toolbox, and started looking closely. Sure enough, there it was, a slight double image. Now, I didn't exactly find $1 million coin, but that moment taught me a huge lesson. You have to look at your coins with a careful eye because you never know when something will pop up that could make you a fortune. So, I guess you could say my almost $1 million penny experience was one of the best lessons in keeping my eyes peeled for rare coins. So how much is this penny worth if you find the double die error? Well, the value can vary depending on the condition, but in good condition, you're looking at anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million. Yes, I said $1 million. Coins in mint condition, with sharp details and little to no wear and tear, can go for the highest prices. Some of these double die error pennies have gone to auction for outrageous amounts of money, leaving many collectors and former owners in shock. Look for any signs of doubling on the word Liberty and the date 1969. The doubling should be visible with the naked eye or under a magnifying glass. The D mint mark on the reverse side of the penny should be clear and placed correctly, but make sure it's not doubled. A double mint mark can be a sign of an error coin. The doubled lines will often be thick and look like shadows or a second, blurry outline of the letters that I know you want to hear the juicy details. How much can you sell it for? Well, in mint state, grade MS, 65 or higher, a 1969 D double die penny can sell for up to $1 million. Yes, really. But if your coin's a little worn out from years of being passed around in your pocket or a jar of loose change, you can still expect a nice payout of $100,000 to $300,000, depending on the quality. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's important to keep in mind that most 1969 D pennies won't have the double die error. So, before you go diving into every jar of pennies you find, make sure to check for the error and don't get too carried away with that dream of finding a fortune. But hey, if you do find it, you'll be the star of your own personal treasure hunting story. The 1969 D Lincoln penny with the double die error is definitely worth checking out if you have one lying around. And even if you don't, you've learned a little something about what to look for in the wild world of coin collecting. Now, I don't know about you, but I think I'll be looking at my change a little differently next time I'm at the store. Who knows, maybe I'll find a penny worth $1 million and be able to retire early. But here's the thing. If you want to keep finding out about other coins worth serious money and get some top-notch strategies for your own collection, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on more tips, stories, and coin knowledge coming your way. Hey there, coin hunters! Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this tiny piece of metal is worth what? A whole penny? Well, think again, my friends. Because today we're talking about a penny that could blow your mind and possibly make you a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that could be worth up to $1.1 million. Yeah, you heard that right, a freaking penny worth over $1 million. Pretty wild, huh? How the heck does a penny go from being worth 1 cent to being worth $1 million? Well, I was in the same boat once. I was just like you, casually flipping through a jar of change when I came across a penny that looked a little off. It didn't have the usual mint mark on the back. Now, I thought maybe it was just dirty or I had a coin from another country, but as I did some digging, I found out that this little guy was potentially worth a lot more than I ever expected. And today, I'm gonna share all the details with you so you don't end up making the same mistake I almost did. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this. So grab your magnifying glass because we're diving deep into why this little penny can be worth so much, what makes it special, and most importantly, how you can spot one and maybe cash in on it. Let's get into it. What exactly is the 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny? You're probably already familiar with the Abraham Lincoln penny, which has been in circulation since 1909. But what makes the 1967 version stand out is its lack of a mint mark. See, most pennies minted in the United States since the 1930s have a mint mark that tells you where they were made, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But in 1967, some pennies came out without any mint mark at all. Why is this important? What's so special about the 1967 penny with no mint mark? Great question. Let me break it down for you. The reason this coin is worth so much boils down to rarity and error. Back in 1967, the U.S. Mint was operating in full swing, cranking out coins to meet the demand of an ever-growing population. But somewhere along the line, some of those pennies got stamped without the mint mark, which was a mistake. And as we all know, mistakes can sometimes be worth a pretty penny, pun intended. When it comes to rare coins, the value often comes from how many were made and how many are left in circulation. Because this was a mistake, not many 1967 no mint mark pennies were out there. And the ones that are still in good condition today, well, those are the ones you want to look out for because they could be worth a small fortune. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, okay, that sounds cool, but how do I know if I've got one of these bad boys? Don't worry, it's easier than you think. The first step is to grab your penny and take a look at the reverse side. Normally, you'd expect to see a mint mark near the bottom, either a D or an S. If you don't see one, that's the first clue that you might have a 1967 no mint mark penny on your hands, but that's not all. The condition of the penny also plays a major role in its value. The higher the grade, the more money you can expect to get for it. So if you've got one in really good shape, no scratches, no major wear, you could be looking at a real winner. And if you're lucky enough to find one in mint condition, it could be worth $1.1 million or even more. Yes, that's right, a penny that's been around for over 50 years could have a seven-figure price tag. That's more than I paid for my first car, and I had to settle for a used clunker. If only I'd found a penny like this back then. Well, the market for rare coins has been on fire lately, especially with coins like this 1967 no mint mark penny. Coin collecting is an excellent hobby to get into, and not just because it's fun. It's also a great investment. The value of rare coins tends to go up over time, and the more you know about them, the better your chances of making a pretty penny. Okay, I'll stop with the puns, maybe. If you had a 1967 penny sitting in your jar of change, would you recognize its value? If you didn't, you could be missing out on a serious payday. And if you're just starting out with coin collecting, finding rare pennies like this can give you a solid foundation to build your collection. Let me tell you, I've had my own fair share of aha moments in this world of coin collecting. I once found a coin in my change that I thought was just a regular old penny, but it turned out to be something much rarer. It wasn't a 1967 no mint mark penny, but it still taught me a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the value of something that looks ordinary. If you've got a sharp eye and a little bit of luck, you can turn a simple penny into a gold mine. And honestly, there's nothing more satisfying than finding that one coin you didn't even know you had and realizing it's worth more than you thought. The 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. A tiny, unassuming coin that, if you're lucky enough to find, could be worth up to $1.1 million. If you come across one, make sure you get it checked out by a professional because you might just be holding onto a small fortune. Now, before I let you go, I've got a favor to ask. If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep learning about rare coins, how to spot them, and what they're worth, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and coin collecting strategies to help you grow your collection and maybe even make a little money on the side. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. So, hit subscribe and let's keep hunting those hidden treasures together. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, where we'll uncover more coins worth big money. Hey there, fellow coin hunters. What if I told you that somewhere out there, maybe even in your own pocket or that old jar of change sitting in your attic, is a coin worth a small fortune? And no, I'm not talking about some rare gold bar or diamond-studded treasure. I'm talking about a 1964 Abraham Lincoln penny, worth over $1.2 million. Yes, you heard me right. $1.2 million for a penny. Now, before you start checking your couch cushions for loose change, let me walk you through the incredible world of this legendary penny. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. There's a lot more to this story than you might think, and by the end of this video, you'll have a new appreciation for the humble penny. But first, if you're new here and you love learning about coins and how they can make you rich, or at least a little richer, hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to stick around for more tips, tricks, and the stories behind these unbelievable coin values. Alright, let's get into it. Why is a simple penny, something that you probably throw in a jar to collect dust, worth a mind-blowing $1.20 million? First off, it all starts with the 1964 D-Mint mark. Back in 1964, the U.S. Mint produced a ton of Lincoln pennies, but only a few of them were struck with a very special error. You see, the 1964 D penny was supposed to have a regular design, but due to an issue with the die used to strike the coin, there was a major defect. The result? A rare, one-of-a-kind version that collectors are dying to get their hands on. Now, these pennies were in circulation for years, and you could find them all over the place. No one thought much about them. But here's the catch. It wasn't until much later that people realized the true value of this error coin. In fact, the penny became so valuable that one of them recently sold at auction for, wait for it, $1.2 million. So, what makes this particular penny so special? It's a combination of factors: rarity, the minting error, and a crazy demand from collectors. When you've got a coin that's this rare, and with that big of a backstory, it becomes a hot commodity. And the best part? Most people have no clue that they're holding on to a $1.2 million penny in their pocket. Okay, let me throw in a little personal story to make things even more real. I'll admit, when I first started my journey into coin collecting, I didn't expect to find anything of major value. I thought it was all about the big fancy coins, the ones you see on those shiny showcases at antique shops or in rare coin catalogs. One day, though, I was at my local thrift store, rummaging through a bin of loose change. I had that feeling like something special was in the air. I know it sounds cheesy, but sometimes you just get a vibe when you're in the zone. Anyway, I picked up this one penny. It was a 1964, and honestly, it didn't look too exciting at first. But something about it caught my eye, maybe the way it gleamed or the fact that it was in such great condition. So I thought, why not? Let me check it out. I ran home, dug up my trusty magnifying glass. Hey, every coin collector needs one, and started inspecting the thing. It wasn't a 1964 D penny, but it was a great lesson in patience and taking your time. In the end, that penny wasn't worth a fortune, but I didn't give up. I kept on hunting, and eventually, I came across a 1964 D that was worth a lot more than I expected. You can guess that by then, I was hooked. How to spot this ultra-valuable 1964 D penny. You don't need to be a professional coin grader to find one of these bad boys, but you do need to know what to look for. The minting error on the 1964 D Lincoln penny was caused by an issue with the die, which resulted in a double die. That means that the Liberty and In God We Trust inscriptions on the coin are slightly doubled or offset, giving it a unique, blurry appearance. If you can spot these doubling errors on a 1964 D penny, you might just have yourself $1 million coin on your hands. But it's not just about the doubling. The condition of the coin matters too. A penny with minimal wear, a good strike, and no significant damage is going to fetch a much higher price. So, don't go tossing every 1964 D you find. Examine it carefully. If you think you found the golden ticket, don't get too excited just yet. You'll want to authenticate the coin to make sure it's the real deal. You can get your coin professionally graded by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. These guys know their stuff and can tell you if your penny is worth its weight in gold, or at least $1.20 million. And hey, if it doesn't come back with a crazy high grade, no worries. There are tons of other valuable coins out there, and the hunt is half the fun. Remember, even the smallest coins can surprise you. Alright, folks, here's the thing. If you find yourself holding on to a 1964 D Lincoln penny that's worth $1.2 million, congratulations! You've officially reached coin collector nirvana. But if you're like me, you'll probably spend most of your time sifting through pennies that are worth, well, less than a cup of coffee. But don't let that discourage you. Coin collecting is a journey, and the thrill of the hunt is what makes it so exciting. Plus, even if you don't find a rare gem like this 1964 D penny, you're still building a collection that might be worth something one day. And hey, if anything, you'll have a pretty cool hobby to show for IT.so. To recap, if you find a 1964 D Lincoln penny with a double die error, you could be holding on to a coin worth $1.2 million. It's all about knowing what to look for, understanding the history behind the coin, and, most importantly, having the patience to hunt down these rare treasures. And before you go hunting for your next big find, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton of awesome tips and stories coming your way to help you track down valuable coins, strategies, and maybe even a few more $1 million finds. Alright, fellas, buckle up. I've got a story today that's probably going to make you go rummaging through your old penny jar. Or, if you're like me, maybe it'll send you digging through couch cushions looking for loose change. Ever heard of a penny worth $1 million? Sounds like something out of a crazy treasure hunt movie, right? But here's the kicker, this is real. I'm talking about the 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And it could be sitting in your pocket right now worth up to $1.3 million. Yeah, you heard me. You're not seeing things. This humble little coin could pay off your mortgage, buy you a vacation, or, well, maybe even fund your retirement. But here's the thing, you gotta know what to look for, or else you're just tossing money in the trash. Now, let's dive into why this particular penny is such a hot commodity, how you can spot one, and why it's a whole lot more than just your typical pocket change. Nothing too exciting. It's that little copper-colored coin you toss in a jar. never thinking twice about its true value. But the 1988 no-mint mark penny? That's where things get interesting. Most pennies from 1988 have a mint mark, usually either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. But some of them, well, they don't have any mint mark. And that's where the value comes in. Here's the thing. Back in 1988, the US Mint made a mistake. Some pennies that were supposed to have a mint mark didn't get one. Now, a mistake like that doesn't happen every day. And when a rare coin like that turns up, collectors lose their minds. Why? Because it's rare. It's unique. And as any collector will tell you, rarity is what makes a coin valuable. If you've got one of these 1988 no-mint mark pennies, it's a gem. But don't get too excited just yet. We need to dive a bit deeper into what makes these pennies worth up to $1.30 million. Let me break it down for you. The 1988 no-mint mark penny was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. But here's the kicker. No one knows exactly how many were produced without the mint mark. That's the mystery. Some people estimate there are only a handful of these coins in existence, which drives the price up. Now, you might be thinking, how do I know if I've got one of these bad boys? Well, first things first, you're going to want to look closely at the front of your penny. The mint mark should be under the date. If you don't see anything there, it could be the one. But wait, don't go celebrating just yet. It's not as simple as just having a blank spot. The condition of the coin matters a lot too. A 1988 no-mint mark penny in perfect condition, the kind that looks like it just came out of the mint today, can be worth a lot more than one that's been hanging out in your coin jar for decades. You want your penny to be in what collectors call mint state, meaning it's got that fresh, pristine look without too many nicks, scratches, or discolorations. If it's in rough shape, it might only fetch a few $100. But if it's in great condition, well, that's when we start talking big money. Let's call him Dave, who used to toss his coins into a plastic baggie for years. Nothing fancy. He'd just drop change in there when he got home, and sometimes I'd hear him mumbling about how he didn't have a real coin collection. Well, one day, Dave's mom was cleaning out some old drawers and found that bag of pennies. He was about to take it to the Coinstar machine, but I told him, "Hold up, buddy. Let me take a look at those." Turns out, Dave had a 1988 no-mint mark penny sitting right there, in pretty decent condition. Now, I didn't think it was going to be worth $1 million or anything, but I figured we'd have it checked out by a professional. After a few calls, we found out that penny could be worth over $1,000, and in mint condition, possibly even more. Dave was stoked. He went from thinking his pennies were worthless to realizing he had a rare piece of history. And the best part? That's exactly how it works. One person's junk is another person's treasure. Keep an eye out for those 1988 no-mint mark pennies. They could be sitting in your coin jar, your pocket change, or buried at the bottom of a drawer, and they could be worth a lot more than you think. Whether it's $1,000 or $1.3 million, if you find one, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Coins like this don't pop up every day. So, while you're out there collecting, you've got to be on the lookout for the rare and the unusual. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a newbie just starting out, understanding the value of these coins can make a world of difference. Before you head off to dig through your spare change, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more tips, tricks, and stories about rare coins, their hidden values, and strategies for building a collection that could set you up for life. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Keep hunting those coins and happy collecting. Alright folks, now that you know how valuable that little 1988 no-mint mark penny could be, what are you going to do? Toss it in your jar or have it checked out? Whatever you do, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more tips about coins that could change your financial future. Leave a comment below if you've ever found something like this, and let me know if you want me to cover more coin tips in future videos.